Hello and welcome to another episode of the African Football HQ podcast. I'm Malek Shafei, and today we have a very special episode as we're previewing the CAF Champions League final on Friday between Al Ahly and Zamalek in what is being deemed as the match of the century. I'm being joined by four other Egyptians, both Ahly and Zamalek fans, to talk about implications of this match and preview who might win this decisive final. So I'm joined by Youssef. Say hi.
Hello.
Amr.
Hi.
Mazin.
Hi.
And Mahmoud.
Hello. Hi.
Thank you all for coming on. We have a lot to talk about. So I want to talk about first the history of the rivalry and what it means for these two clubs to be facing off in such a momentous occasion. We've seen them play in the league tons of times. They've faced off in the CAF Champions League knockout rounds, but never in the final before, which is what makes this match so important. So Youssef, as an Ahly fan, what are you thinking ahead of this in terms of what this means for the rivalry?
Okay, in terms of what this means to the rivalry, actually, I'm happy because this rivalry has regained its stature in Egyptian football and African football in general. It's been a long time since we've seen such tense rivalry between Ahly and Zamalek, maybe before the 2011 revolution. It was always Ahly, an easy win. But now it's actually, I'm nervous. I'm honestly nervous and I'm anxious. This match is incredibly 50-50. You can't predict any winners. You can't predict the score. Both teams are in their best shapes and they've got good managers on each side. So it's hard to predict who's going to win. And it's extremely hard to be confident. It's going to be a tough match, of course.
Mazin, I feel like Zamalek, they've been on a bit of downturn in recent years, not as strong as Al Ahly. But in the past year or two, they've really become a lot stronger, haven't they?
They did become a lot stronger in the past year or two. They've been a bit more competitive in the competitions in general. Against Al Ahly, it was always, as a Zamalek fan, against Al Ahly, it was always a match that, ever since I started supporting the team, anxiety was something that just came along with this match. Unlike what Youssef just started to feel. I've been feeling it my full life. Obviously, a match with the status being the final of the CAF Champions League is very anxiety just takes over. What can you say? But I'm very hopeful, and this is something that I haven't felt in a while because the performances of the team in general have they got so much better in the past year that it gives me a bit of confidence as a supporter.
Mahmoud, what would you say are the implications for this match? Are there a lot of bragging rights at stake?
Just the guy said, you cannot be nervous before such a game. We are facing the most important game in the history of the two clubs. You are talking about Al Ahly and Zamalek, the two biggest teams in Africa. You cannot be nervous. Al Ahly is going very well in the championship. Zamalek also did. So we are going to the most 50-50 game in the history of the derbies. Zamalek may be more confident with two winning in the past two games against Al Ahly in the league and in the Egyptian Super Cup. So we have to wait and see. It's a very, very big game.
Amr Ahly are coming off the back of an incredible domestic campaign, finishing the league undefeated, and was a pretty historic feat. What does this mean for them right now? Do you think having such a successful season will help them today, just a few months after the season?
Yes, definitely, especially if you look at the easy adaptation of Pitso Mosimane to Egyptian football and to Al Ahly culture in general. He knew how to deal with the players. He understood their mentality quite quickly. And even when it came to Champions League semi-finals against Wydad of Casablanca, that was the first time in years that I saw Al Ahly playing with such composure. The players felt at ease. They are not pressured, and that was really surprising for me. So I think Pitso Mosimane also has done a great job so far in this short period of time that he has since he took over from René Weiler. But still, it's a very difficult game. You cannot predict, because Zamalek gave the impression that, or they have the edge that in the knockout games, when it comes to the last 4 or 5 Egyptian Cup finals. When the two sides met, Zamalek have won the majority of them. And even in the Super Cup in UAE, Zamalek also won on penalties. Even when the league was almost won by Al Ahly, Zamalek caused a little of embarrassment to the Red Devils when they won by 3-1, even under previous coach Patrice Cartiron. But still, it's very hard to predict who's going to win this game. But since it's a knockout game, since it's only one match final, I believe that Zamalek have 51% of possibilities, and Al Ahly with 49. It's very, very, very slight advantage for Zamalek because of the team spirit in Al Ahly game, in the derby games over the past few years, and especially individually, I feel Zamalek is a bit stronger individually, not collectively. And in that kind of games, you need some individual brilliance that can win the game in just one play. I don't see that any player is better than Ashraf Ben Sharqi right now, who can really win a game in a minute, in a blink of an eye. So let's wait and see. We are just talking about provisions, our predictions, but 11 against 11, it's going to be totally different.
Mazin, do you agree, or does Zamalek have the slight advantage?
I think I agree with the individual statement. Yes, I do feel Zamalek do have an edge in the individual abilities of the players. However, again, this is a game. This is 90 minutes of football, and it could go either way. So, as much as I'd like to say Zamalek do have the individual ability, sometimes in matches like this, the collective effort is actually what wins the game rather than the individual effort.
Unfortunately for Zamalek, they're going to be missing some key players, won't they, Mazin, due to them testing positive for COVID?
Yes, Zamalek unfortunately has 3 players, all of them from their main starting 11, Youssef Obama and Abdullah Gom'a, as well as Mahmoud Hamdi Winch. They all tested positive today. I think it's a big loss, honestly, for Obama. I could say there is a replacement. Abdullah Gom'a right now with Abdul Shafi out injured. It's very tight. It's a position that Islam Geber usually filled up when Abdullah Gom'a was unfit. So with how is the coach going to accommodate the missing players? That is what we're going to have to wait and see.
Ahly are also missing some players, although arguably less important to their squad. Most notably, youngster Aliou Dieng tested positive, so he'll be missing the match. Very disappointing for him to miss such a large match in his first season with the club. But looking at just the absences from COVID, we have to agree that Zamalek is hurt more than this, aren't they?
Yes, definitely. Al Ahly have 3 players as well. However, Saleh Gom'a being one has been absent for a major time during the season, so it wouldn't affect that much. Obviously, Aliou Dieng, he's a player that causes threat, and Al Ahly missing out on him, along with Walid Slimane, does affect the team heavily.
So Mahmoud, who are some of the players to watch out for? Who is the X factor on each team?
Like Amr said, in the Malik, you can't find anyone better than Ashraf Ben Sharqi in the Malik or maybe on the field at all. So Ashraf Ben Sharqi, of course, in the Malik is the biggest player here. For Ahly, for my opinion, I will say Mohamed Magdi Afsha. He is playing very well in the recent games. He can find the space. He can go in spaces that no one could expect it. So for me, I will say Mohamed Magdi Afsha in Al Ahly and Ashraf Ben Sharqi in Zamalek. If we could talk more about the players in Al Ahly, we could find a player like Ali Maloul, Mohamed Shinawi, of course, the best goalkeeper in Africa. About the losses in Zamalek and Ahly, Zamalek is a very big loss, of course, with losing 3 players, but you cannot neglect what's going in Al Ahly. Aliou Dieng is one of the best players in the tournament at all, and will be in Africa also. He is doing a very big games in getting the ball and going all. So I think it could be, if you could avoid losses, it could be 60-40 between Zamalek and Ahly. Zamalek also had a very good players beside Ashraf bin Sharqi, Mustafa Muhammad, and Zizou, who is performing very, very well in the last months. Is also Ferjani Sassi. He is the key player for the team. So that's all.
Looking at the strikers, Mustafa Muhammad will most likely be leading the front line for Zamalek. The young Egyptian striker has been a revelation, especially in the CAF Champions League. So a lot of us Egyptian fans will be hoping he puts in a good performance. But Youssef, I want to ask you about Al Ahly's striker options. What's going on for them?
That's actually a really good question. I think Weiler actually a bit confused it by. I think at one point he played with 3 strikers. He played, of course, Marwan and then Badji, and one time there was Kahraba playing there. So, but I actually believe that Pizzo may have somehow revived Marwan Mohsen. So I think he's going to be his go-to striker for sure. Of course, he's nowhere near Mustafa Muhammad. Mustafa Muhammad's ability or form even. Mustafa is having an excellent time right now with Zamalek and definitely with the national team. But Moussimani has proved, other than being a good tactician, he's actually a good man manager. So even with Marwan not performing as he's supposed to, as a good man manager can get the best out of his players. And I believe that Moussimani can do that out of Marwan Mohsen, even if it's just for one game. He understands the importance of this game, and he understands that he's going to tell his players exactly what he wants from them, and he's going to be able to get that out of them. He's going to be able to get them to do the job. So I'm hoping for a good day for Marwan Mohsen, of course, because he's the leading goal scorer and he's the striker. But as I said, he's nowhere near Mustafa Muhammad. Clinically, if Mustafa Muhammad on goal is going to be more of a threat than Marwan Mohsen on Zamalek's side.
Yeah, as Egyptian fans, we've all hoped to see a good Marwan Mohsen performance and then been let down, namely at the World Cup. But one of the most interesting things about Pizzo coming to Ahly has been the resurgence of Mohsen and how he's been playing so much better under the South African manager. To talk about Pizzo and how he's brought in his Pizzo ball tactics from South Africa, we're joined by Lawrence Kohler of Kickoff to talk briefly about what Pizzo brings to Al Ahly.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Kohler. I'm a journalist for one of the biggest publications in South Africa, kickoff.com. And ahead of the CAF Champions League final, what you can expect from Pizzo Moussimane is what he's done over the course of his career with Mamelodi Sundowns. What he's brought over to Al Ahly is a patient build-up, a methodical game of 1-touch, 2-touch, 3-touch max. He's always been true to his principles over the course of his career, no matter what club he's been at or at Bafana, where, it's a patient build-up game and he allows the players to express himself. And it's nothing that's ever rushed. He's always wanted to play on the front foot, but with this game being, the derby of the century and his first Cairo derby against Zamalek being in the Champions League final, it has a lot at stake. It's the record 9th title for Al Ahly on the line, and also his 2nd title on the line. So in the biggest games of his career, traditionally, he's been a bit more methodical in his approach. He's not gone gung-ho, and he's been a bit more pragmatic. And I think that's something that he will do, especially with Zamalek, having one of the most formidable squads in Africa right now. You have look no further than Ben Charki, Zizou, Mustafa, Ferjani Sassi. These are the type of players that can really hurt Al Ahly. What I think we can expect from Pizzo is, to keep it tight in the first 15 to 20 minutes, and then have a real go until halftime, and the same will go into the second half. With the games going straight to penalty shootout, I honestly don't think he'll play a very, very open game. But at the same time, with Al Ahly also having a powerful squad, he'll know there's times where he can attack and when there's times that the team can sit back. So I definitely think it would be something like in his previous finals, where it's very patient and they will look for the right times to counter. If it was any other club in Africa, he would stick to his original principles of, dominating the game from start to finish. But with Zamalek being arguably the toughest opponents on the continent right now, I definitely think that he will, be more, cautious and things like that.
If I could add just one thing about Pizzo Moussimane, if the things that could make me more confident about the game is Pitso Mosimani, and how could he deal with his players and with the opponent. Of course, Pitso is one of the best coaches in such a thing. He is well experienced in Africa, and he could get the best of his players, like they said. So I like the idea of Pitso Mosimani here in Egypt, and it's a new adventure for him and for the Egyptian football, of course. He's a very, very good coach, and I believe in him so much. So I hope he could be the one in the game. He's the most important one in this game. And for Al Ahly, I think more than the players, he is the best one to do such a thing for Al Ahly fans, inshallah.
He's arguably the best manager in Africa. But I wanted to ask, does he deserve all the credit he would get if Al Ahly wins? Because he came at the end of the league season. He managed in 1 or 2 games. They won the league. He got the credit for it. And then he comes to in the Champions League. He's only going to manage 3 games. And if they win, he will be getting most of the credit over Weiler. So is it fair for him to be getting all this acclaim, or should we be crediting René Weiler a bit more?
René Weiler is the one who built this team. Yes, I could agree with this. So he could make the team stronger and the best team in Egypt in the league. But Pitso Mosimani also came in a very, very hard period. He came in just 1 month in the first before the CAF Champions League final, before it could be postponed. So Pitso Mosimani faced a lot of criticizing also in the Egyptian field. With his abilities, I think he could be had the most in this. Not all. Weiler, okay, have something in this, but Mosimani will be good the most credit in this.
Mazin, what about Zamalek's manager, Jamie Pacheco? Obviously much of a less-known face compared to Pitso. It's his 2nd time coaching the club, and he's done pretty well so far. Would you agree?
He has done pretty well so far. He's given the fans something to stay confident about and a bit of hope. Obviously, after Cartron left, it was all up in the air. Cartron left in a very different manner than René Weiler. When Cartron did leave, it was just a day notice, whereas René Weiler, they had some time ahead where there were negotiations. However, Pacheco, in my opinion, he's managed the team very well. He's managed to guide them through. And in terms of credit, if Zamalek do win, I think the reason he'll be getting most of the credit is not because of we're not comparing the time they managed, but it's more of the stage that they managed through. The earlier stages of the competition are obviously known to be a bit easier than obviously the semi-final and the final. And if you can come and take a team from a semi-final and lead them to glory, then obviously you do deserve the credit.
Okay, we're going to do a score prediction and a prediction for the man of the match winner. We'll start with you, Youssef. What do you think? Putting you on the spot.
That is on the spot. A score prediction and the man of the match. Okay. Well, definitely I'm going to go with Al Ahly win. And it's really tough, man, because it could be a closed match with so few goals, and it could be an open match with so many goals. It's contradicting, you know. But I'd go with I don't know. I'll just say the random number, like 2-1 for Al Ahly.
2-1.
Yeah,
Okay.
Man of the match. So it's an Ahly win, so the man of the match is going to be an Ahly player. I'm going to say Ali Manu.
All right. What do you think, Amr?
Actually, I think this game will go longer than expected. So I expected that we go to penalties. And in that case, I believe Zamalek have better chances, since they already did that in the Egyptian Super Cup, and also they won the competition 2 times on penalties, actually. 1986 over Africa Sport of Ivory Coast, and then 1996 over Shooting Stars of Nigeria. So they have 3 times, actually. 1993 over Ashanti Kotoko of Ghana. So they have something with penalties when it comes to that kind of shootout. So I think Zamalek can scrape this on penalties.
Man of the match?
Well, in that case, It depends, because if it's a goalless draw, actually, I think it will be both keepers actually. But if it's like a 1-1 or 2-2 draw, maybe I think Tariq Hamid will have a great game.
Mazin?
I'd go with I don't do predictions for a reason, but I'm going with what I hope, and what I hope is a Zamalek win. I take 2-1. I'd even take 1-0. I'm fine with that. And as for man of the match, I think it's not gonna. If Zamalek win, as I'm hoping and expecting, I think it won't leave either Tariq Hamid or you're talking about Ashraf bin Sharqi. His performances usually on big games is wonderful to watch. So I'm really hoping it goes in my favor this time.
All right, Mahmoud, what do you think? Ahli or Zamalek?
It's a very tough one, but I could go for Al Ahly. I could accept Youssef in the result 2-1. I could accept Amr. It's going to be a very long game, so it could be in extra time. 2-1 for Al Ahly by extra time, and the man of the match will be Mohamed Magdi.
Okay. So I've heard a lot of predictions saying it'll be rather low scoring. Do you guys think this is because of more poor attacking or very solid defenses from both sides?
Well, I can take this question because.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just saying that actually, but both teams will be very cautious, because they know it's only a one leg final. It's very tricky, and actually I believe that Jaime Pacheco will be even more conservative in his approach, but he has to be aware if he starts the way that he started against Raja of Casablanca in the return leg in Cairo, he will definitely lose the game. Because being conservative doesn't mean that being a little bit, shy, extremely shy, like he did against Raja. And in the first half, Raja was all over Zamalek in the field. So it all depends on the coaches. If Jaime Pacheco is extremely conservative, like he was against Raja Casablanca in the first half, it will be very complicated for him to come back against Al Ahly. Al Ahly is totally different. But I think composure is the key for Al Ahly. The way that Pizzo Mosimane approaches these kinds of games is already key. The mind games he playing, the way he plays down expectations with the press, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that he raises the morale of his players. So I think it's in the hands of the coach. But both of them will be cautious, but maybe Pacheco will be more conservative.
Amr, I think a personal thought is that Pacheco will not start as conservative as we've seen him against Raja Casablanca. I think against Raja Casablanca in Cairo, he had the 1-0 lead. So he was a bit more comfortable going into the first half. And obviously, once they scored, things changed then. And that's when we actually saw the aggressive attacking. And I think to Friday's game will be something very similar, where he will not be as conservative, but he will take his time to figure out where are the weak links in Al Ahly's defense. Where can he penetrate? Especially now that Obama is missing, so you have Ashraf bin Sharqi who can play as a left winger or as a center attacking midfielder. And I think that's going to be his key about where he places him. As opposed to Zizou. Will we see another appearance for Kasongo on the left wing as well? So I really think it's going to depend after the first 15 minutes of the game. And I think that's the only time he's going to be conservative.
There's actually something I want to add to. Even if Pacheco is conservative and Mosimane, he's not rash, he's not impulsive, he's very smart, as Amr said, so he won't go all out attack from the first minute. But Al Ahly's defense is leaky, and that could easily be exploited by Zamalek's front line, especially with the speeds and incredible skill. So I think that individual errors could play a big part in that game. and whatever the playbook is by both managers could get out of the window just once a goal is scored. Because, like you said, it's a final. So just when a goal is scored, خلاص, you can't be conservative. You got to change how you're gonna change how you got into the game. You're gonna change that mentality because you're gonna go for the goal. You're either gonna go for the second goal or you're gonna go for the draw. So I think that aside from the both managers' tactics, both sets of players need to be focused, because individual errors, there's no room for errors. And when it comes to errors, Al Ahly's defense is woeful. It's so bad, literally, especially with the centre backs. So, and with, as I said, Zamalek's frontline speed and skill. So I think, like I said, that individual performance is going to be a big part in that game.
Amr, I saw you nodding very passionately in agreement with Youssef when he talked about the poor Al Ahly defense.
Yes.
I would expect you to be more in support of Ahly. What's going on? What more could they be doing to make you feel confident about this game?
I feel really that Al Ahly, they did really wrong in the transfer market like 1 year ago when they signed Yasser Ibrahim, because he wasn't the right man for filling up the gap in central defense. But anyway, he is ready there. And Badr Banoun, of course, the Moroccan central defender, will not play until this tournament is finished. But actually, I think the key for Al Ahly to deal with this weakness in defense is to keep the ball as much as possible, because the more you keep the ball, the more you have, the more you face less, the less you face attacks from the opponent. So that would be the key for Al Ahly, is to keep the ball as long as they can. And I think there is, some kind of agreement, of an unannounced agreement between both coaches that Al Ahly will keep most of the ball and Zamalek will go on the counter. So I think Al Ahly have just to give some maybe Pizzo Mosimani give some instructions to Amr Sulaya and Hamdi Fathi, because Ali Dieng is not going to play, not to rush into attack behind the Afsha. So maybe they have to stay at the back, to stay at the center of the park for as long as they can, not to roam away from their positions. So maybe that is going to be the key to deal with that defensive weakness.
Mahmoud, do you agree with that? Do you think Al Ahly will be in control of the possession while Zamalek will be trying to hit on the counter-attack?
Yes, I agree with this. Al Ahly will have the ball more. In the last two sessions training, as the reporter said, Pizzo Mosimani stopped the training more than once to comment on what his defenders do. So yes, I could agree with what Youssef said in such things in Al Ahly defenders. So I know Mosimani is knowing what's going on there. So as Amr said, he could go more rush. He was composure is the key, but he would not be rush to this. He will have instruction to the players to keep their positions and how to deal with the counter attack for Zamalek. Of course, Hassan Shahat and Junior Ajayi will have a defensive approval to do. So yes, Al Ahly will have the position, and we have to have the position more and more to deal with the Mali counter attack in less times during the game.
I can hear the taxes in the background making me reminisce about the times of Egyptian fans celebrating. Will we see something similar if Ahly or Zamalek wins? Will we see large demonstrations on the street?
Definitely not.
Depends what the authorities allow.
Definitely.
All right. And unfortunately, there will only be, I believe, 2,000 fans let in by the government.
No, actually, there was like a minute ago a statement by the Egyptian Football Association and CAF as well. They said that the game will be played behind the closed doors. No fans at all.
Okay. I don't know if that will make a big difference, but there'll be almost zero atmosphere at the Cairo International Stadium on Friday night.
I think the players are used to playing in that atmosphere.
I actually agree with Youssef. A thought that always comes to mind is these players have gotten so used to playing behind closed doors that playing in front of fans might actually scare them now.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think during the games that get played in United Arab Emirates or in Qatar as well, when the stadiums are full of fans, it actually gets its toll on the players and their concentration levels.
All right. Well, that concludes the episode. Thank you very much to everyone for joining. Be sure to tune in on Friday to see Al Ahly take on Zamalek.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Pleasure, guys.